the start. I think it was a learning lesson for him. I think obviously, he's going to learn from the moments that he had Saturday, and we've got tremendous confidence in him, and we'll keep developing him. He had obviously some good runs that he created, some energy for us, being able to provide his athletic ability. But then obviously in the protection area and some pass games, he's going to learn and grow from those. And I think it was a valuable moment for him to continue to grow throughout his career.
How quickly was he able to bounce back? I know that second play has to probably be eating him alive, have an X open on a deep pass and just overthrown. Did you notice he was able to let go that quickly and just kind of move on to the next play?
Well, he's moved on completely from it. Just overall, just met with him yesterday, and he's in great spirits, and he's ready to just continue to learn from things that happen throughout the game. And obviously, when you're a young kid like him, he's resilient. He's obviously shown us that he has the ability to make plays for us, and we've got that confidence in him. And sometimes kids just have a bad night, and it was one of those nights where obviously when you're playing on the road in a hostile environment, there's a lot of pressure on you as a young quarterback. And so we've all got to do a better job around him of making sure that we can keep him poised, keep him calm, and being able to go out there and execute game plan.
Josh, I wanted to ask you about Tyler. I asked Mario the same question too. When he got hurt, then the season starts going sideways. The easiest thing for him would have been to say, "Goodbye. The season's over." And Mario indicated that there's still hope that he could get back out there. What's that say just about his willingness to go out there when there's theoretically nothing to play for, knowing that's not really the case? But what's that mean? What's that say about him?
Well, he's a true leader. You just look at let me say this too. He's been there every step of the way throughout the last 5 games, even though he's been out. Yes, we faced a lot of adversity since he's been out, and obviously you've seen the production of the offense decrease. But he's been there. He travels with us on the road. He's there in game days. He's there trying to offer advice to Jakari and to Jake. And he's just been a positive leader, the best leader that he can be. And so you respect him tremendously. Obviously, we respected him tremendously before as a leader, but now you gain even more respect for him. You talk about the competitor he is. He's continuing to try to rehab, and I think they've done a great job throughout his process of just trying to get him caught back up to feeling good again. And he's getting closer. We don't know quite yet where that is, but that's what you want out of your quarterback. Someone that's not going to tank it. He's been there in the good times. He's been there in the bad times for us, and we'll continue to lean on his leadership to bring this to a strong end as we get going this week.
Also wanted to ask you have, whether it's 1 or 2 games left, is this the time of year where a coordinator looks at the book and says, I haven't done this yet, I haven't done this yet? Is there stuff that you're hoping that you can get from the book onto the field in these?
Well, we've ran almost 3 different offenses this year, having to change the identity of our offense based on our personnel, and I think that's obviously one of the biggest challenges we've had with all the different personnel pieces that we've been missing, whether it's up front, on the perimeter, at the quarterback position. We've kind of changed it week in and week out to build what's best for our players that we have available. And so when you really look back at it, it's not necessarily what hasn't gone in, but who are we going to be this week, to kind of fit our personnel. Like I said, it's been 3 different systems for each different quarterback. So there's a lot that goes into that. Obviously, challenges that we have with the depth up front, there's a lot that goes into it as well. And so each and every week, it's almost a different mindset of what does it take to beat this opposing team, based on the personnel that we have available and the things that defense presents to us.
How challenging is that for you, week to week to week? Do you just have, do you sort of just go into each week and limit, hey, this is the only thing we're really going to practice this week, or how do you sort of, present that week to week?
It's been a tremendous challenge, but we just try to build it off the skill set of the players that we have. I mean, bringing back quarterback run game, getting that involved. I haven't ran a quarterback in years, and so that was a new element, getting it back installed into our offense. Little things like that, things that we necessarily didn't practice in spring or fall camp, just trying to have to build it to build what's best for us, even when you've seen the lack of depth that we had in the running back position. How can we gain a number by using the quarterback in different elements in there? And so it has, but those are the things that come with the season. You've got to continue to move on. I think when you face adversity, you can't be a guy that's focused on problems. You got to be focused on solutions, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to do that overall as a staff and as a team. We're trying to focus more so on the solutions than the problems that we're faced.
People just look at points and yards and draw their conclusions, and that's that. But when you have had to change not just quarterbacks, but systems on the fly in games, how would you kind of assess how have the kids handled that when they have to go from this sort of thinking to this sort of thinking in an instant? How have the kids adjusted?
The kids have adjusted. It's a lot on them too. Having to learn, different schemes, different things that we're doing, and with all the different pieces, right? We're changing personnel, not just even at the quarterback position, but all throughout our offense. And so it has. And one of the challenges that has really presented lately, it's forced some of our players to have to be unselfish. We haven't taken advantage of the pass game because of some of the personnel things that we're kind of going through, whether that's protection, whether that's pass games, throwing the ball. It's also taken away from certain positions, and we've asked certain players to be unselfish, buy into who we have to be that week, and with our identity, and that takes a lot on you. It takes a lot on your players. It takes a lot on your staff, but ultimately, it's our job to try to create offensive success, and points and touchdowns do matter in that element, and obviously that's something on Saturday that we were very disappointed. And I think the thing that stands out the most on Saturday is just the limited amount of reps that we had. We only played 46 offensive snaps. That is a very, very low volume of football. And when you look at it specifically, even in the first half, it was only 16. We've got to be able to maintain drives, not have 3 and outs, and we've got to be able to sustain drives and score points.
Josh, some head coaches are heavily involved in the game plan week to week, some not at all. I guess how is Mario with you week to week? I mean, obviously with all the injuries, I'm sure he has to have input, but just curious week to week how that plan works with him.
Yeah, coach has been a tremendous asset and supporter, obviously, for us on all sides of the ball. Offense, defense, and special teams. He's a great motivator. He comes in and picks me up in times where I need to be picked up, and I think that's a tremendous value as a leader. Someone to also help instill confidence, because we have our tough days too. Trust me. After a loss, it's hard not to have your head down, but coach is so positive. He comes in every Sunday. He's like, it's time to get back to work. It's time to get back after it. And obviously he is an important piece of our offensive staff. Obviously helps coach our offensive line there. And so he's very well aware of the challenges that we've gone through. And it's just to find a way each and every week. That's the overall goal, is find a way to be 1-0 how we can be, and allow our players to go out and be as confident as they can, so they can go out there and play and have success.
It feels like no matter who their personnel is up front, they've always got a guy with 10 sacks. Just what makes that defense so good year after year? Yeah,
I think first and foremost, they've done a really good job recruiting the defensive line. I think it starts there. I think obviously Coach Narduzzi is a ton of respect for him. I've got a history with him from his days at Pitt, and I was at Penn State, but also Coach Partridge, their defensive line coach, is one of the most respected, obviously, defensive line coaches there is, and he does a really good job recruiting and evaluating. They don't always have the measurables that you would see out of some defensive linemen, but they have really, really good football players. They take the undersized guy that maybe some people overlooked and turn him into an All-American, and so they've done a great job in the recruiting and evaluation part. They've done a great job in the development part, and their scheme allows them to be aggressive up front. Consistently throughout the last 3 or 4 years, they've been in the top 10 in sacks, and obviously that creates a tremendous challenge for us, as we're very well aware of their ability up front, and they've got some really good players.
We'll do a few more for Coach Gattis.
You don't kick till 8 o'clock on Thursday, or on Saturday, rather. Does that allow you any time to check out another small game happening in the country on Saturday?
Well, night games are, I always prefer noon games or night games because it does allow you to watch college football. We all are fans of college football. I think it's the greatest sport in America. And so for our kids, it allows us to get tremendous rest leading up to the game. Allows those guys to sleep in a little bit later, get some rest, start envisioning the game plan of things that could happen potentially at night, but allows them to relax, watch some college football, kick their feet up, and get their mind ready for a night battle. And I think that's always a bright spot for you. Obviously, when you're playing that on the road, it becomes a long day. I think it's a little easier when you're at home and in your own elements as compared to being on the road. But we're excited about this game. We've got a lot to play for. You know, a lot on the line, and most importantly, we want to play for our seniors. And we want to make sure that, you know, as this being senior night, that we send these guys out the right way. They've contributed a lot to this program, and they deserve that.
Up in Virginia, Jake decided not to throw the ball to Khalil on that last play. And this Saturday, you called Khalil's number. Jake checks in the game. What went into the process of calling that play?
Yeah, it was pretty much the same play, just a different formation and presentation. And obviously another situation, Khalil's wide open, and you know, he just trusted the read. You know, I think I won't go back and judge the one in Virginia because we were fortunate enough to score still on it. And you know, ultimately, the quarterback's decision at that point obviously got wide open. Jake could have potentially ran it in this week as well, and he went and trusted his read and threw it to Khalil. Khalil made a good catch on it, and you know, there's just everyone executing perfectly on the play. You know, and I think that's what we need more of: consistency, reads, throws, blocking, everything. Just consistently doing it throughout a game, one rep at a time, every opportunity we get.
Coach, you talked about 3 different offenses throughout the season. Can you talk about maybe the process that this has been like, either extra hours or meetings with you and your staff? Can you just explain maybe what's been going on throughout the season?
Yeah, it's been a challenge. You know, I think everyone's aware of that. Just coming in on Mondays, knowing who you're going to have. You know, we've also gone through game planning processes throughout the week where we didn't know if we were going to have a guy available on Saturday, because leading up to the game, whether you lose a guy during the week or you're constantly checking in on his rehab process. And, you know, I think not enough goes into that. You know, I think our medical staff, first and foremost, has done a tremendous job trying to get our players back up to full speed. But you've also seen situations throughout the year where we've had guys play on Saturday that didn't necessarily get a chance to practice much throughout the week because of limitations that we've had from an injury standpoint. And so it's been a tremendous challenge. Obviously, it's been a challenging year, especially when you get the amount of injuries on one side of the ball. It's a little bit different, obviously, if you've got injuries, you know, kind of scattered out throughout your roster. But we faced a significant challenge, and there's no excuses to it. We just got to find ways to overcome it. We've got to be focused on the process of finding solutions and not focus on the process of focusing on the problems.
Last question for Coach Gattis.
Did make the trip, he suited up, but obviously only 46 plays. Was the plan to get him in the game?
Yeah, eventually we want to try to find an area where we can kind of get Don back acclimated. And last week, let me say this, even though he was declared back, it was his first week practicing since, you know, 2 weeks into fall camp. So you can imagine for a young man like that, just getting your legs back underneath you, getting your wind back underneath you. They did a great job in the rehab process. Obviously, it was a very significant injury that he went through. But now going through 1 week of practice, hopefully that provides him confidence in his ability, provides him confidence in his body. And then we've just got to continue to find ways to try to acclimate him back into the offense and see what he can do, give him an opportunity and see what he can do for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.